Hey everyone, how are you today? Today I'm going to be speaking for a few minutes on the topic, life has troubles. Life has troubles because living a life for God, although it's rewarding, it doesn't mean that we're exempt from troubles, right? We have troubles, we have pain, we have heartaches. And I would like to talk to you about a guy named Joseph from way back in the book of Genesis and how his life was awesome and it was rewarded and there was a promise and a provision in his life, but there were also troubles along the way. And if I could, just in the key of P for a minute, I want to tell you about Joseph. Joseph was provided for at his dad's house. He was provided, he was preferred, but then his brothers hated him and he ended up in a pit. He was provided for, preferred, he ended up in a pit. Then he became a slave to a man named Potiphar. And then from Potiphar's house, he went to the prison. And then from the prison, he went to the palace. And it was at the palace that God began to fulfill his dreams and bring a provision that was very powerful in his life. So trouble can be expected. I mean, when we serve God with excellence, though, that's when God steps in and we receive the provision. See, Joseph, he served God with excellence. We don't get a lot of direct quotes from the Bible of what Joseph said, but we know Joseph had to have been a great communicator. As he worked through all the trials in life, he communicated well. He served God with excellence. And Genesis chapter 39, verse 2, it says, the Lord was with Joseph and he prospered. The Lord was with Joseph and he prospered. It's very important that we realize that when the Lord is with us, we're going to prosper. And it's important that we give our excellence and we are faithful to him. Embracing the trouble that comes our way will change the way we view our trouble. It'll change our mindset and it'll help us to be focused in on God and the excellence that he has for us and the provision that's in our future as we dream big dreams. And living for God during seasons of trouble will bring blessings and bring provision. So today I just want to talk to you about life has troubles. Living for God brings favor and it brings blessings, but it also brings trouble. It brings favor. See, Joseph, he was the favorite of his father. He was the favorite, but there was still trouble. Joseph was favored by God, even though he was the youngest in his family. See, his dad and God, it was traditional in those days that it would be the oldest son who would get the blessing. It would be the oldest son that would get the best provision, but Joseph was favored by his father, and Joseph was favored by God. And then Joseph, because of his excellence, he was favored by Potiphar, he was favored by the prison guard, and he was favored by Pharaoh because of his excellence. And although favor seems desirable, it seems like a really good thing, right? We like to be favored. It also sometimes comes with hard times, with storms, with troubles and trials. And so living for God is not exempt from trouble. Joseph, remember I said he was favored by his father. Well, while he was favored by his father, he was hated by his brothers. So his favor also brought him something bad. He was undervalued by his brothers. His brothers sold him. And not only did they sell him as a slave, they sold him cheap. Scholars believe that his coat was probably worth more than the value that they sold him for. So he was undervalued. He was accused. Potiphar's wife accused him of rape, and he was put into prison for attempted rape, but he really didn't do anything. He was accused falsely. He was forgotten by the cupbearer. He had revealed a dream to the cupbearer, and the cupbearer, he asked him, please remember me when you get back to Pharaoh's house. But the cupbearer forgot him. So all these things weren't any fun, to be hated by his brothers, undervalued by his brothers, to be accused falsely, and then to be forgotten. But we can't see things the way God sees, the way man sees them. We have to look the way that God views us, and when God views us, he sees the inside. Man looks on the outside, but God looks on the heart. Living for God reveals good things in bad times. Good things in bad times. Times may be bad, but there's always something good. Joseph was faithful, and because of his faithfulness, God was with him. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 4 says, then you will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and man. Favor and a good name in the sight of God and man. What brings this on? The verse before this tells us that it's faithfulness and love. Be faithful to God and good things will come. Joseph was bought by Potiphar, a prominent man in Egypt, and Potiphar made him the head of the household. Even though bad times came, Good things happened for Joseph because of his excellence. Falsely imprisoned, Joseph was promoted to the head of the prison. The warden trusted him. He became promoted. And then in famine, in a time of trouble and famine, Joseph brought relief for Egypt and the Hebrews, his family, and himself. He got provision from God in the middle of a famine, all because he was willing to be excellent, to listen to the voice of God, and to see the dreams that God had brought him. So in conclusion, I just want to remind us that God, when we serve him faithfully, despite our circumstances, not only do we benefit from it, but the entire community benefits from God, from our blessings, from what we do, and from our excellence. And living for God is a blessed life. Even though there are hard times, even though there are tough times, we are blessed. And God will bring good and profitable things into our life, even though we go through times of trouble. Jim Raley wrote a book called Dream Killers. Jim Raley is the pastor of a church over in Ormond Beach, Florida. And in his book, he said this: when your God-given dream is stirred within you, then your dream killer will be stirred against you. And you can rest assured that when you're doing good things and you're living the life for God, that the dream killer will come up against you and he's going to try to destroy you. And he's going to try to take you out. But Joseph was living the preferred life at home, but his brothers hated him. He went to the pit. From the pit, he was sold. He became a slave to Potiphar. He left Potiphar's house and went to the prison because he was falsely accused. And then in the prison, he made his way all the way up to leadership in the house of Pharaoh. And because of his diligence, because of his excellence, the entire nation was provided for, the nation of Israel, the Hebrews, and himself. Serve God. Your life won't be free of trouble, but it will be provided for.